Back with you on SportsCenter. The NBA Eastern Conference Finals, a rematch from 2000 when Reggie Miller's Pacers beat Latrell Sprewell's Knicks in 6 games. New York hasn't been to the East Finals since then. These teams met in the second round last year. Indiana won that one, too, in 7 games. We're so pleased to bring in Pistons head coach J B Bickerstaff to join us here in SportsCenter. I want to tap into some of his analysis because, Coach, you're obviously very familiar with this Pacers team playing in the same division. What stands out to you about this team that led them to a conference finals appearance?
Offensively, they're just so hard to guard. They do a great job at playing at a tempo that makes you feel like you're chasing them for 48 minutes. And I think that's one thing that people talk about in the playoffs. In fourth quarters, the game slows down. But if you're the Indiana Pacers, you want to make sure you're playing at that elite pace. When you got guys like Ty Halliburton, Miles Turner, who can space the floor, Siakam, who can attack early in transition, you want to try to get as many easy opportunities as you can. The Knicks are really good if you allow them to be stagnant and play in the half court and turn it into an ISO. They have so many guys who can defend that you want to make them chase you around a little bit and make sure you play at that elite tempo that made you the offensive weapon that you were through the season.
Yeah, I was just saying to someone, I don't know that there's a team that's playing with more confidence in the postseason than the Pacers, but you just mentioned the Knicks and obviously some experience playing against them in this postseason. What's the key for them to moving on and advancing to the finals?
Again, it's what the stars are going to do, right? You know what Jalen Brunson is going to do. You know what Towns is going to do. I think he's going to be a big focus of this series. How they use him, whether they put him, as a post player, they can use him as a spacer, and sometimes they can use him as a decoy to bring your biggest guy away from the basket. So you want to make sure that he's involved and watch the impact that he has on the game. Like, he's deadly when he's knocking down those 3-point shots, and that pulls everyone from your interior out to space, and now the other guys have the ability to get off and attack. Key guys like Anunoby and Bridges, and then Hart's ability to make winning plays. Yeah,
you mentioned Cat. 5 games with at least 20 points and 10 rebounds in this postseason. That's the most by a Knicks player since Ewing had 10 such games in the 94 postseason. But you're right, they need that consistency. Let's go out west for a second. Thunder host the Wolves, game 1 of the conference finals. That's tomorrow night. OKC hasn't made it this far since 2016, and none of these players were on that team. Only Alex Caruso's actually ever been to the conference finals, and that was with the Lakers in 2020. The Wolves were, of course, just here last year. So if you were sort of scouting both of these teams in this matchup, give me the deciding factor that's going to determine who wins.
I think it's going to be the X factors, right? I think you know what you're going to get from Shea. You know what you're going to get from Ant. But it's going to be some of the other guys, how they step up, the DiVincenzo's of the world, the Nas Reeds of the world. Jalen Williams obviously is all-star caliber talent, but I think he's a guy that's going to be huge for Oklahoma City. You saw what Alex Caruso was able to do in that Nuggets game, especially that closeout game, how much of a disruptor he can be. And then the same thing with Isaiah Hartenstein. Right, I think those guys who can be the most consistent throughout this series, the X factors, are going to give their team the best opportunity to win it.
Yeah, a reminder that these teams split their regular season meetings 2-2, and those matchups, all 4 decided by a combined 3 points. Coach, if this coaching thing wasn't going so well for you, I'd say there's an analyst seat waiting for you. You're fantastic. Get you a coach that can do both. But it's going really well. So we'll see you many years from now when you decide to hang up and come and join us here on A Desk. J B Bickerstaff, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck next season, too. It's really fun to watch your Pistons this year.
Thank you.
There's not many games you wake up in the morning and you know that you're going to remember the game for the rest of your life, and Game 7's one of them.
It's a Thunder avalanche here to end the second.
You never know how many Game 7s you're going to get, and it's like an opportunity to be great.
Facing elimination, they turn in maybe their best performance of the whole season. Dreams of a title are still alive.
We play a really good team in the Timberwolves, and that's all I'm worried about, all our team is worried about. I think that's why we've gotten this far in the season, and we're going to continue to do so.
Denver's certainly gone from mile high to feeling pretty low. The Nuggets blown out by the Thunder in Game 7 of their Western semi yesterday. SGA, 35 points. OKC holds Nikola Jokic to 20 and Jamal Murray to 13. And then the Joker talking about the Thunder's depth.
It seems like the teams that has a longer rotation, a longer bench, it's the one who are winning. Indiana, what's the name? OKC. So Minnesota.
So the Nuggets enter the offseason with several questions to answer, namely, how are they going to help Jokic with the current salary situation? And who will they bring in at head coach and general manager? And lastly, are they going to bring back Russell Westbrook? To try and help us parse through some of those questions, we bring in our NBA front office insider, Bobby Marks. Bobby, another year coming up short for the Nuggets after winning it all in 2023. Despite Jokic averaging a double-double these playoffs, how do they address their offseason?
Well, we're going to be looking at deja vu going into a second straight offseason in Denver here. It's basically the same challenges that they were faced last year are going to be here again. This time they don't have a first or second round pick. They've got 80% of salary tied up in Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr. And basically how you improve depth is going to have to be with a trade potentially of a player like Michael Porter Jr., who has 2 years, $80 million left on his contract. Can you break up that contract and bring in some veterans to help that depth? If not, then you're looking at the same problems. Remember, they've got two big offseason questions. The extension of Nikola Jokic, who is extension eligible, and Christian Brown, who is also extension eligible. So without clearing those finances, you're basically in a holding pattern, especially for Brown.
Well, this is a big day for parity, crowd, because the Nuggets being eliminated means there'll be 7 different franchises to win a title over the last 7 seasons. This is the first time that's happened in a 7-season span in NBA history. And that's because, of course, the Celtics also went down, and they'll have some tough decisions to make as well. How will this team look with the current salary situation? Can they put together a solid team without Jason Tatum? Will Boston aim to get younger in the offseason? Celtics president of basketball operations, Brad Stevens, laying some of that out.
The North Star is to have a championship contender, right? And so you have to you have to do what's best to give yourself the best opportunity to do that when you can do that. And so we just have to look at it all and decide, how feasible that is on any given year, and then, make sure that we are, we're making the decisions accordingly.
Bobby, how can the Celtics be competitive knowing they will not have Jason Tatum next year?
Yeah, they were facing decisions even if Jason Tatum hadn't been injured in that New York series here. And they have a couple options as far as where they're going to go with this roster. Certainly, they can run this group back. But the problem with running this group back and then bringing back Al Horford and Luke Kennard or free agents, it's going to cost you $500 million plus in salary, a franchise, and certainly an NBA high. Then there's the second option, and the second option comes with cost cutting when you look at the expiring contract of Kristaps Porzingis, potentially a player like Drew Holiday or even Sam Hauser. And then what does the Tatum injury do as far as maybe a reset of this roster where you're going to build around Tatum and Derek White? But that's basically waiting another year until the 2026-27 season. So I would expect changes in Boston. Certainly it's going to start with some of your core players, Kristaps Porzingis or possibly Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you give Jaylen Brown $300 million, who, by the way, averaged over 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in the series, because if necessary, you need him to be able to center that team. He was, of